What's up guys, Rejinx here again, and today on Orbus Tips, we've dinged level 30 and now we're gearing up for the endgame.
Welcome to Orbus Tips!
When you hit max level in Orbus, there's still a lot of things you can do. Today we're going to cover upgrading your items, specifically items that give you power, such as your helm, chest piece, gloves, shoulders, rings, and your weapon. We'll start with weapon and armor. I'll explain the rings after. There are 4 different levels of rarity in items. When you first hit level 30, you're likely to have a common item, which is green, or if you're lucky you might have a rare item, which is blue. The difference between green and blue is green will just have an attack stat. A blue weapon will have an attack stat and then a plus to strength or a plus to intelligence. After rare items, you can get purple items from dungeons, and purple items will have an attack, intelligence, and strength. And also they'll have an affix at the bottom. The affix on this one is Lightning Forge. Affixes are extra effects that the weapons have. I'll explain those in a minute. And then your highest level of rarity is legendary. Legendaries have attack, intelligence, and strength, but have 2 affixes. This one has Ice Heart and Charge Strikes. Here is a quick list of all the weapon affixes. You can pause if you want to read it. I'll also leave a link to the Orbus Wiki down in the description. Let me quickly list the affixes that most players find useful. First, we have Unbending. Any blow that would kill you normally, if you have Unbending, would instead reduce your HP down to 1 HP and giving you a second chance to take a blow. However, it can only proc once every 60 seconds. Next up is Giant Killer. Giant Killer, I believe, gives a 3% increase to damage on boss enemies only. After that, we have Ice Heart. Ice Heart gives a 5% increase of damage on any enemy that is slowed by a frost or being any other slow. First Strikes gives you a 100% chance of crit if you're the first person to damage an enemy. Bleed gives a very small percentage chance that you'll inflict a bleed on an enemy, and if you inflict a bleed on an enemy, it'll do 300% of whatever your attack caused to bleed over 5 seconds and cannot stack. Charge Strikes gives you 1 guaranteed crit every 15 attacks. And Treasure Master is a fun one. It just makes it where a small amount of dram will drop from any enemy that you kill. The last upgradable status on a weapon is its level plus. So once you start getting epic weapons, which you're going to get from most of your shard dungeon runs, they're almost all going to have a plus level. So right here it says level 30 plus 2. So that means that the attack on this item is going to be equivalent to a level 32 item. Now with plus levels, all items that are level 30 plus a certain number are going to be the same attack. So all level 30 plus 2s are going to be 49.89. All level 30 plus 3s are going to be 52.35. Plus 4s will be 54.94. Now the intellect and strength on them will be different. But as you go up in plus level, the amount of maximum intellect or strength that could drop goes up by 2 each level. So for example, on a plus 4, the highest strength or int you could have is a plus 160. And on a plus 3, the highest you can have is a plus 158. And these level pluses are even more important than whether it's epic or legendary. So for example, if I have a plus 4 legendary bow, it's less valuable than a plus 5 epic bow because of the extra attack. To get higher plus levels, you usually have to run harder content. Now that we know what upgrades on our weapon are, now we need to know how to upgrade them. Now there's two ways to get upgrades in Orbus: by running raids or by running shard dungeons. I'm going to start with shard dungeons. So most people who are level 30 know where this is. This is the dungeon entrance for the first 4 dungeons in the game. So once you hit level 30 and you kill any boss in any of these dungeons, it'll drop a dungeon shard for you. Now you can take that shard and go into the dungeon it's for. Let's do that now. Once you have a dungeon shard, you open your menu and you look at your shard. This is a dungeon shard. The information on it is at the bottom where it says Broken Halls level 1. That means it's for the Broken Halls dungeon. It's a level 1 shard. And then the mutation is Afflicted. A mutation is an extra hurdle, an extra difficulty that is added to the dungeon, and more of them are added as you go up in level. So all dungeon shards that you get are going to be level 1, but once you complete a dungeon shard in under 30 minutes, it'll level up the shard to a level 2, or if you complete it in under 15 minutes, it'll level it up to a level 3. And as you go up in level, so for example, this is a level 5 shard, it has 2 mutations on it. And shard levels can go up to level 15. But right now, we're going to take this level 1 shard and put it on our hip. And then you can see the shard is here. Now, to create, right now we're just in a regular dungeon. To create a shard dungeon, you come up to this pedestal and you take this shard and you put it in. So after you place the shard in the pedestal, if you look up at where it normally shows your level, it's going to show the shard level, the number of bosses in the dungeon you've killed, what percentage of trash mobs you've completed. You see that 0% complete, and how much time is remaining. So what this means is that if we run this dungeon and kill both bosses and get that completion percentage to 100% before that timer runs out, then at the end we're going to get a chest drop, and the shard will go up a level to a level 2 shard. So that means once we kill the final boss or the final trash mob, whichever one comes first, a chest will appear in front of you, and it'll have a piece of gear, and it'll have a level 2 shard, unless you complete the shard with 15 minutes remaining or more. If you complete it with 15 minutes remaining or more, the shard level will be a level 3 shard. It'll go up 2 levels. And if you don't complete the shard in the right amount of time, but you still complete it, so let's say that timer runs out of time, and once you complete both bosses and all of the trash that you have to kill, you'll still get an item drop at the end of the dungeon, but you will not get a shard. The shard will be destroyed. Now, if this shard was above a level 3, so for example, in my inventory, if the shard was this one, an Abandoned Mines level 5, if you were to run it and run out of time, after the 30 minutes, it will be de-leveled by 2 levels, but you'll still get a shard back. So instead of destroying your level 5 shard, you will get a level 3 shard back. And you'll still get, if you complete it, you'll still get your reward at the end. Shard levels can go from level 1 all the way to level 15. And different levels will give you different plus levels of loot. The first 3 levels of shard dungeons can still drop rare blue items or epic items, and they're all going to be +1. Level 4, 5, and 6 shards are all going to drop +2 epic items. Level 7, 8, and 9 shards are where you're going to get epic +3 legendary weapons. Level 10, 11, and 12 shards drop epic +4 or legendary +4 weapons. Level 13, 14, and 15 dungeons can drop epic +5 weapons, And you can get legendary +5s in level 13 and 14. And if you want a +6 legendary, which is the most powerful weapons in the game, they only drop at a very small percentage chance from shard level 15 dungeons. All of these dungeons, when you complete a dungeon, you are not guaranteed a piece of gear. One person in your party is guaranteed a piece of gear, and you could get a luck drop. And that gear isn't necessarily going to be a weapon. Though once a day, you are going to be able to get what's called a free roll, where if you use your roll, you get a guaranteed item drop. Now that could still be a piece of armor, but it'll be either a piece of armor or a weapon of the level of that shard. So whatever is the highest level you plan on doing that day, make sure you use your roll on it so you can guarantee yourself a piece of gear. The other way to get in-game weapons and gear is through the raids. Raids are 10-man dungeons with 5 bosses. There's 2 levels of raids. There's normal raids and expert raids. So the normal raids, to get to it, if you have your group together, everybody joins a party, so you have 10 people in a party. Then you go to here, activities, raid, and then enter raid. And by clicking that, you will be teleported into the normal mode raids. To enter the hard mode raids, you have to come to here and actually walk in through this door by opening this handle. Both raids have the same 5 bosses. It's just expert mode's bosses are much tougher and have extra mechanics. Now, what gear are you going to get from these raids? Normal mode raids give +2 gear. Each time you kill one of the 5 bosses, there's a very small chance that you'll get a random gear drop. Each boss drops a specific type of gear. For example, boss 5 always drops weapons, and boss 4 only drops helms. Expert mode raids drop +5 gear, and it has the same chance of dropping, just a higher level gear. The other way to get your raid gear is through raid tokens. Every time you kill a boss in a raid, normal mode or expert, it will drop a token. And these are the normal mode tokens. These are the hard mode tokens. They are specific to a type of gear. So for example, by killing normal mode boss 5, you will get this token. If you kill expert mode boss 5, you'll get this token. After you collect enough tokens, you can come to the raid vendors and spend your tokens on the type of gear you want. Now, one thing to be very careful of is raid gear is specific to your class. Unlike gear in dungeons or that drop normally outside, they're not cloth, plate, and leather. They're actually specific to each class. So if you get a helm for a ranger, then it can only be used on your ranger. It will not be able to be used on your musketeer or on your scoundrel. So just keep that in mind whenever you spend your raid tokens. Let me quickly go over the difference between armor and weapons. There's really not that much of a difference. You get them in the same places. The major difference is that there is no legendary armor. So armors come in common, rare, and epic. Common armor will have an affix, unlike a weapon. Rare armor has an affix and vitality. Epic armor has defense, vitality, and 2 affixes. There is no legendary armor, so that means that there is no +6 armor, because +6 only comes in legendaries. Other than that, armor and weapons come from the exact same places. Now let me go over quickly how to upgrade a piece of armor to get it ready to use in endgame. So currently, I have my chest piece is a level 30 +4. And I got it perfectly set up the exact way I want it, looking the way I want it, runed up, and with good affixes. but I just got this from doing a hard mode raid. So I have a +5 chest piece with really good vitality too, so that's going to be nice. But of course it doesn't look right, and the fixes are wrong, and it doesn't have any runes on it. So we're going to have to do a lot to it to get it ready to wear. So I already made my runes here. These are my 3 runes. This is the dyes I'm going to put on it, and then I'm going to use that to re-roll it. And then finally at the end, because my old piece has a higher defense rating than my new piece, we're going to have to infuse the old piece into my new piece. So let's start by getting it runed up. I've already made a video about artificing. You can see it up in the corner of the screen. I'll put a link if you want to, if you don't know how to do artificing. I go through exactly how you figure it all out. Switch the order up a little bit. So it's F, M, Affliction. Let me make sure that's right. FM Affliction. And finish. So now I'm going to have to put the new piece on, grab the rune set, apply it. Alright, so now my rune set's on it. Next, I'm going to want to dye it because it doesn't look right. So I'm going to jet black and white accent. And obviously with the gold foil it don't look right, so I'm going to have to transmog it. That's the one I want. Alright. Apply. Okay. Now I look good. I got my rune set. Next I need to re-roll my affixes. So my current affixes is crit damage +2, which is a good one. That's not bad. And then my incoming crit damage, which is useless because defense really isn't important for a DPS. So I'm going to hit my glimmering shard because it's a purple item. See how it has a purple nameplate? And then click on my piece. Do I want to reroll the fixes? Yes. Let's see what we get. Crit chance +1, XP gain +1. If I was leveling up, that'd be good, but I don't need the XP gain. Okay, so I'm going to leave this one. +1 projectile damage. I'm a ranger. And then +2 crit damage. So that's good affixes right there. So I'm going to leave those affixes. Alright, the last thing. That only took 2 glimmering shards. That's actually really good. Next, I'm going to take this piece and destroy it by infusing it into this one. Infusion specialist. There she is. So, alright, so we're going to have to unequip that piece. Wave at her. So you put the piece that you want to keep at the top, and then you put the piece you're going to destroy, which I've probably been wearing this piece for 3 months, so goodbye. And boom. And that's it. This is a completed piece. It's ready to go on me, and a little bit of an armor upgrade, a little bit of vitality upgrade. The last thing we're going to cover is rings. And rings come from empowered world bosses. There's 3 world bosses around the world, and all 3 of them have a special way to empower them. This one has something to do with trees. I'll just say that. I'm not going to explain how to empower all 3 bosses, but if you get about 10 of your friends together and you figure out how to empower the bosses, you kill them, and there's a small percentage chance that you'll get a ring. And I will say that 2 of the rings out of the 3 bosses, if you infuse them together, can make what are the best rings in the game. That's all I'm going to say. I think y'all can figure it out from there. The community will help you figure it out. And that's all I had to talk about today. So if you liked the video, subscribe. Thanks for watching.